Welcome, everybody, to Who's Your Band? I'm Jeffrey Paul. I'm joined by my co-host, Sean Morton. How are you, Sean?
Jeff, can I just tell you, I am so good this weekend. I feel so good about life right now. I
Yeah,
know
that's
this
a,
is very strange because you used to see me being miserable, and I'm
I
always
like miserable, Sean.
well, no, I'll get there. I want to just elaborate on a couple things. So, just to start the show off, and you'll introduce our guest in a minute, who's one of my favorite guests, probably my favorite guest on the show. Um, had a very successful show Friday night at the
Well, I
Doge.
was I was going to bring that. I didn't want you to hurt yourself, patting yourself
No,
on the
no, I'm
back.
not patting myself on the back in the least bit. In the least bit. A couple things. I got to hang out with our producer Adam, who came to the show, which I thought was very, very nice of him to come to the show. It was very good. I learned one thing about Adam this at that show. He is a very, very polite person and very, very sweet person. Because if you remember the last time you were at the dojo, he was like, "Oh my God, Jeff was fantastic." He mentioned that on the show, and I was like, "Yeah, that's awesome. That's great." And then after I got off, he was like, "Look, I really didn't want to say this on the air, but like, Jeff was okay. I mean, it was good, but I saw what a real headliner does. How a headliner is supposed to command the crowd. I mean, and Jeff barely did 40 minutes. I mean, I looked down at my watch. You were at 65 minutes, and you could have still gone another hour. I mean, I was blown away by that. I mean, dude, I'm your number one fan.
Quality over quantity.
No, buddy. I had them from second
Yeah.
one, second to end. But I'm gonna get this out of the way real quick. I've been talking about this for a while now, and I have made it official. I will be taping my first hour special August 24th at the dojo in Morris Plains. And none other than our amazing producer, Adam, is going to be the videographer and producer of my special. I don't trust anybody when it comes to my comedy with anything. He was the first person I thought of as soon as I asked. He graciously said he will absolutely do it. It is a weight off my shoulders. I am through the roof. I have 3 months of complete OCD going over every note that I have for the last 16 years. And tickets will be on sale this week. And I promise you, get them now. This is going to sell out before the end of the month. I will guarantee you it's going to sell out before the end of the month. I am ecstatic. Now, enough about me. Let's talk about the second best comic on this show. He is one of the greatest DJs I have ever heard in my entire life. You can hear him on 1015 every week. Let's please bring in our amazing guest with the worst glasses I have ever seen in my entire life, Mr. Steve Trevelise.
These are my Buddy Holly glasses. You know, like my Buddy Holly glasses.
I really don't like your Buddy Holly glasses. I mean,
Are they glasses or magnifying lenses?
I know they were on sale. Actually, I like these. I like the big glass. You want me to put a different pair on?
No, I do like them actually. I do
No,
like
Charles Nelson Riley. We want you to keep those on.
These aren't the Charles Nelson Riley glasses. I can get the Charles Nelson Riley glasses.
My God,
I was going to compliment your special Friday night, but that's all right, Sean. Now
that is the funniest thing I have ever heard Jeff say on this show in 4.5 years. God, I want to let that marinate. Have your moment, Jeff. You got your flowers. You heard me laugh. You got your flowers. Congratulations.
Yes.
See, I do what I can to bring out the best in Jeff when I come on the show.
You do.
Just the kind of guy I am.
But we love Steve, man. He is the best. He's the perfect guest for this show for what we're going to talk about.
Yes, absolutely. We are going to be talking about something that we talk about every once in a while during the year, but especially this time of the year when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees are announced. Usually we have a back and forth as to why Iron Maiden has not been in. But I gotta tell you, I think this year is one of the most solid classes to go in a very, very long time.
A couple of surprises of who also didn't go in.
I agree with that.
Combined with who went in.
Yeah, I agree with that. Listen, let's just get this out of the way. Mariah Carey, one of my favorite people on the planet. I would love to, see her again. Restraining orders are involved, but I was surprised she was first year nominee, and then she did not get in. Considering the fact that people hate her, let's get that out of the way. We understand she has a lot of hatred in this world, but you cannot deny the fact that she is probably the most successful selling artist of the 90s by far, by far. And
she has probably the most successful single.
dude, let me tell you, I mean, when you look at her numbers that she has sold in the 90s, I mean, she absolutely deserves to go in. I do think that they are putting people in who are a little older as well, that I think are deserving, and maybe this is the year to do that, which I'm okay with that too. I really am okay with that. But she'll get in next year. It was kind of like Bon Jovi when you think about it. Bon Jovi took a couple of years before they were actually brought in after their first year of eligibility. And again, they're another 150 million records sold. You can't deny it. They shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. But I think she'll go in next year or the year after. But I want to bring up two bands off the top that I am not sure if they belong in the Hall of Fame. One of them I think definitely does not belong in the Hall of Fame, and one I'm on the fence with. The one that I don't think belongs in the Hall of Fame, and you might get a little salty with me with this, Jeff, is Jimmy Buffett.
Why would I get salty with that? I don't think he deserves to be in.
Well, you kind of give off a vibe of like the guy who wears the flip-flops in the summer with like the bottle opener underneath it, you know.
Are you out of your mind?
No.
I give off that vibe. I hate parrot heads. I don't like wearing flip-flops. I don't wear sandals in the summertime. I'm not a big cargo shorts guy. And I've never wore a Hawaiian shirt. I am as far away from that as possible.
Really? You give off a vibe though.
Yeah, I don't give off that vibe. You know who gives off that vibe?
Me.
Over there, Harry Morgan.
Harry Morgan?
Harry
Are you
Morgan.
referring to me?
Yes.
Harry Morgan? Alan Alda, I could see. Harry Morgan?
You're a Hawkeye guy.
In the Hall of Fame.
He belongs
Jimmy Buffett absolutely belongs in the Hall of Fame. Look what he's done for rock and roll. Look what his fan base is. You know, there are people
for rock and roll by
Jimmy Buffett. And you know what? Well, if you want to go that, then we can put out half the X. If you want to go strictly rock and roll, what has he done?
Yeah, isn't he a summertime novelty act?
Not at all.
How
deep do you go with Jimmy Buffett's albums? How deep do you go with his music? You know, there are people that look at Jimmy Buffett who were avid fans of Jimmy Buffett, sell out all his shows. The guy's turned rock and roll. I mean, not only rock and roll, but he's become one of the major corporate forces of our time, comparable to like Kiss and the Grateful Dead. I mean, Jimmy Buffett, and not only that, you feel good when you hear his music. And when you look at the longevity and you look at the following that he has garnered with that, I put him in the Hall of Fame way before I put in so many other acts. First of all, he's closer to rock and roll than a lot of people that have gone in. He's closer to rock and roll than Mariah Carey is. What rock and roll has she ever done?
But that's not what the rock and roll.
Christmas is you. One song over and over again.
But that's not what the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has become anymore. I agree with that.
But again, it's not about what it's becoming. It's about what it is. If you're saying, why doesn't Jimmy Buffett belong in based on, what it's becoming? It's
is he a musical innovator?
Yes.
Or, no, he is. I mean, is there any difference between Margaritaville, Cheeseburger in Paradise? I mean, it's all, I get it. It's
Monday.
It's all fun.
This old channel on Sirius. They do nothing but Jimmy Buffett music. And he doesn't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
No, because I don't think he changed the scope of music. I think he did.
And Mariah Carey did.
Summertime. You know what he is?
Mariah Carey did.
He's the Weird Al Yankovic. Okay.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
You gotta be out of your friggin' mind.
He's the weird.
He's not the weird.
Yes, he is. He's a novelty act. It's fun. It's parrot heads. Hey, we're going. No one's going to see Jimmy Buffett in February, but July and August. Hey, that's Jimmy.
Well, why don't you prove that by pulling up Jimmy Buffett's February numbers, Jeff? Pull up Jimmy Buffett's tour dates and tell me what he sells in February.
Okay, right now,
April. Go ahead. He's very busy being dead at the moment.
He has nothing on the books right now.
He did very well. Come on.
I think I understand where Jeff is.
Have you been to Margaritaville in Atlantic City?
Yeah, it stinks. It was the most overrated place I've ever been to.
Overrated place. But there is one. There's no Mariah Careyville.
I
went
see
to the
where
one
Jeff
in
is
Key
coming
West.
from, though. I do. It's kind of like that. It became more of a brand than it did music.
Yes, it's a brand. That's
You
it.
need to
What you said.
talk to Jimmy Buffett fans. I'm not. I mean, I like his music. I'm not like a parrot head or a diehard guy, but I listen to his music, and it's so varied. And I'm telling you, it's good stuff. I like it. I feel good when I listen. When I put him on in the car, I listen. I enjoy the music. I
How
enjoy the
long can you
person.
take listening to it?
As long as I'm driving. The songs really are different. I mean, you can't judge him by the 3 hits that you know. When you listen to the rest of his music and you put it, he's a good guy. I mean, anything you've ever seen him do, any interview you've ever seen Jimmy Buffett conduct, he's been on 60 Minutes. He's been on. You look at the intro to Come Monday. I mean, he's just, like I said, he's a guy that you really could feel like you could have a beer with.
That's fantastic. But that doesn't
That's
mean
his music.
so am I. But I'm not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But you can have a beer with me. I'll have a beer with you anytime, Steve.
Yeah, you buy.
I'll even buy. But I mean,
Okay.
but as
But
far
I'm
as
still
he
not
wasn't a
putting in
great
the Rock and Roll.
guitarist, he wasn't a
Well,
unique songwriter.
he was. He's
He didn't have
absolutely a
he didn't
unique
have a he
songwriter.
didn't
You're
have
out of your freaking mind.
he
He is
didn't have
absolutely a unique
no
songwriter.
he's
You
not
know what?
always
I'm taking my glasses off because I can't even look at you in perfect vision. Now you're as blurry to me as your thoughts and views. So we can play on a level field.
listen.
Right? Jimmy
I-
Buffett absolutely belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
Cool in the Gang belongs in the Hall of Fame? Cool in the Gang
yes,
belongs in the Hall of Fame. For what?
Cool and the Gang belongs in the
In
Hall
the
of Fame.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
As
You
much
can't
as
even
as
say
much
that with a straight face.
as much as the Spinners or the Four Tops or any of those bands
Who
that got in.
also don't now wait a minute. The Four Tops and Motown, that's rock. I put them in.
Okay,
You know, the Spinners you can arguably put in for the same reason. But I'm telling you, is it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or the Music Hall of Fame?
well, now it's
Why don't they
because
have a hip hop hall?
should Missy Elliott be in the Rock and Roll of Fame? Should Janet
No.
Jackson be in the Rock and Roll of Fame?
Put them in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. There
I
should
agree.
be a Hip Hop Hall of Fame.
They are building one,
Then it's about time.
They should do
How
it in the
long
Bronx.
did that take?
It is in the Bronx, Jeff.
Okay, yeah, that's what it should be.
How long? It should be in the Bronx. How long did that take?
I mean,
seriously. It was invented in the Bronx.
I was gonna say how long did it take? Of course,
1973 it was invented, if I'm not
Steve,
mistaken.
it's the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. Of course, it's going to be late.
Huh? Yeah, right. There we go.
Wow. And now I'm the racist one.
Jeff is making jokes. I can't believe this, Let it go on the record that I just couldn't believe what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Way to alienate our 3 black fans, Jeff.
I'm gonna dump myself from this podcast. You don't have a dump button, do you?
No.
So what's the other band who
so the other one that I'm on the fence with, I kind of lean towards yes. But I can see what
you say yes doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, come on, Sean.
You know what? You guys.
No, I think they should be in the Rock and Roll of Fame.
No, I didn't mean the band, you dopes. I'm talking about my direction of what my next person I'm talking about is.
All right. Sorry about that.
And they're in already.
All worked up with Jimmy Buffett. I was wasting away in Margaritaville. I got confused.
Yeah, apparently. Dave Matthews Band.
Oh, should not be in the Rock and Roll of Fame.
I'm on
the low at bar, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with it only because of I kind of liken them to bands like you just said, like, yes, they have a really huge cult following. You can go to any Dave Matthews show and see the same people year after year after year. He's got a huge catalog, but it doesn't mean that he has a tremendous amount of hits, though. If you really think about it, he has not had a hit song probably since the very early 2000s.
When was the last Springsteen hit song? 87?
No.
Tunnel of Love?
No, 2000s.
When was the last time Bruce Springsteen had a hit in the top 40? And consistently was played on the radio?
Steve, listen, I'm a huge fan of yours. I will find out where you live. I just want you.
Right. I mean, I'm just asking. When was the last time? I mean, we love Bruce. What do we want from Bruce? We want from Rosalita to Born in the USA, maybe Tunnel of Love. After that, thank you very much. Goodbye. We love you.
About that though, think about it. That's also about 7 or 8 albums.
I mean, would you say The Rising?
Okay, but it wasn't a hit. It was a well-played song. It was a great song, but it didn't get the top 40 airplay. We're hearing it every hour. Nothing does anymore. But the
But
point is,
that's
all
it.
these great artists that you're talking about, if you're going to make the point about Dave Matthews hasn't had a hit since the 90s, well, let's pull up every classic rocker. But I love the new Bon Jovi song, Legendary. I love it. We're the only guys playing it, as far as I know, on 101.5. I mean, you sit there and you go, all these guys are supposed to get better. Like, we get better at our craft, believe it or not, right? Every time we started, from the day we started doing comedy and music and everything, right now, we're better at it. So do they get better at it, but nobody seems to want it. There's a certain little niche that we want these musicians for, and that's it. And whatever they do afterward doesn't matter. How many acts have gotten, I mean, even the Beatles had a number one record, what was it, 43, 50 years after their last number one? It hardly got played. So, I mean, if you're going to make the argument that Dave Matthews had a hit in a long time, well, neither does anybody else.
But
Yeah,
I think okay, Jim.
What I'm trying to get at, though, is even though he hasn't had a hit, you got to look at the numbers that he puts up, too. I mean, the guy sells out every show in every city every single year. And the guy doesn't go 3, 4, 5 years in between tours. No matter what, if he puts out a record and it's a stinker, all right.
So does Pitbull.
Is he in the Hall of Fame, too?
No, but he shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll of Fame. I don't think that. See, I think what you guys are arguing, aren't qualifies that put you in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't. I think Dave Matthews. I mean, is this personal opinion or is it fact that all his songs are basically the same? His cover of All Along the Watchtower is horrific. Okay, he's
Martin
boring.
Scorsese, you're laughing at him for that.
He's boring. I've seen him in concert. Okay, he's boring. It's a jam band. Okay, I mean, I don't think he has enough hits. Yeah, because he's a guy who, like, the industry likes him. So does that put him in the Rock and Roll
Hall of Fame, right? You got to be friends with Jan Wenner. If he likes you, you're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He didn't like Bon Jovi for years. They resolved that. Bon Jovi got in the Hall of Fame.
Well, that brings us to another band that got in, that I'm shocked got in. This was their first, I think it was their first time on the ballot too, was Foreigner. And Foreigner has been known to have I think 1,000%. They should have been in years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. But the fact is that, Mick Jones has had a long standing a dispute with Jan Wenner, and they weren't even on the ballot and they weren't even in consideration. And they were almost like mocked. But when you look at what their track record is and their run from the mid 70s into the 90s, like the early 90s, Foreigner is 1,000% more qualified to go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame than Dave Matthews and Jimmy Buffett combined.
Oh, 100%, no question. But you know what? We're also at the point too where we're running out of bands to put in.
True. Very true.
Well, they're leaving out a couple of real big ones.
Well, yeah, the Monkees for me. I can't understand why the Monkees are not in the Rock and Roll.
Because they're not a real band?
Sure they are. They had real sales. They had real tour. They sold real albums. They charted real hits. If you're going to go with that, then take out every band that the Wrecking Crew played on. I'd take them all out. I mean, they're a band. They had hits. They should definitely be in the Rock and Roll Fame.
They were a manufactured band.
Music doesn't matter. Most bands are manufactured bands. Most bands from the 50s were put together in the Brill Building. There's no reason why they shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Then why aren't, like, the boy bands in? Why isn't it like the Backstreet Boys are in sync? They had lots of hits.
They're not eligible yet.
You tell me.
How long you have to be out?
25 years. So probably next year.
So they put out their first
probably
record.
Start getting in.
Yeah,
they should.
If you research the Monkees,
that's going to be the criteria.
I agree with you, Steve. I think the Monkees absolutely belong in the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
I'll give you three bands off the top.
There's another one.
No, I'll give you three bands off the top because they're not qualified. They don't have enough hits.
I'll give you. Sure, they do. Have you tried? Have you
yes,
seen
I have.
Herman's?
Oh, come on, and Mrs. Brown, you have a lovely daughter.
There's a kind of hush. Mrs. Brown, you have a lovely daughter.
I like kind of hush. That's a good one. Henry VIII.
It was a number one hit.
The Dr. Demento song.
No, it was an actual top 40 hit. Henry VIII, Mrs. Brown.
Yeah, so is Dickie Goodman, Mr.
Do I have
Jaws.
to go get my Herman's greatest hits disc over there? Dandy. What else?
I'll give you three
A little
bands,
bit
Steve.
better. Something tells me I'm into something good.
Yeah, that's
Written
a
by
good
Carol
song.
King.
I like that. It's a good pop
And now he's
song.
not getting the whole thing.
I did get to meet Mickey Dolenz and Peter Noon at an event one time, and Mickey Dolenz, who was my favorite monkey.
What was it like? Chiller Festival?
No, my old manager at the time was trying to do something out of the box, and he put together like a spoken word thing where they would do like acoustic and shit. And then so I got to meet Mickey Dolenz, and he was very standoffish, and he was a little bigger than the room, too big for the room, which was
Yeah, he could be that way.
it was kind of weird because he was my favorite monkey, number one, and I grew up absolutely loving
Who
him.
was the Steve?
Did you tell him?
Steve, a little bit of
Yeah.
trivia.
Yes.
Okay. What role was Mickey Dolenz up for on TV?
Oh, Fonzie.
Thank you. I knew.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Steve. You ask Steve anything, he's getting this.
He was up for Fonzie. I saw there was a show that Mickey did a couple of years ago. It was Mickey Dolenz, Christopher Cross, Todd Rundgren.
I saw that show. I have the poster of it back here.
The guy from Chicago,
Got it right there.
Jason Statham, and who was the other guy? And they did they toured the
It
White
was the
Album.
guy from Badfinger.
The guy
Moore.
from Joey Mullen, and
Right.
they did the White Album, and they each got to do two of their own songs, and then they each did Beatles songs, and then they dropped Mickey, and they added Denny Lane.
That's right.
And they did on that
Saw
one.
that one too.
Rubber Soul and Revolver.
That's right.
And it was amazing. Yeah, I mean, Dolan's is 79 now, but as far as, but again, that band owned the world. The Beatles had gone into seclusion. America needed somebody to fill the void, and here comes NBC, who'd seen A Hard Day's Night, and said, let's make a sitcom based on this, and they cast it, and they did, and then they went out and got the best writers, and they got the best musicians, and they had Davey and Peter Tork, by the way. Peter and Michael were the two musicians in the band. Tork was given to them because they went to Stephen Stills, and he turned them down. And Stills said, "Look, I can't do it, but I got this guy Peter Tork that'll be great for you." Michael Nesmith was loaded because his mother invented Whiteout, but Michael and Peter were the two actual musicians in the band. And then, they got the Wrecking Crew, and they got all those great musicians to play on it. But when you look at that, they're like an all-star band. They had the best of the best in every facet of music. And not only that, Don Kirshner put them together, and they had the exposure of being on national TV every week. So they would put out an album, and everything would go number one. Take a look at the Monkees
and then
live.
Kirshner tried to screw him over when they wanted to start playing on their own, and then they would record it, and then they would bring in the musicians to re-record what they just recorded.
Well, why? Because the Monkees by that time had a caliber of expectations. So why disappoint the fans? When you watch the Wrecking Crew, one of the things people forget about the Wrecking Crew is that they were not only incredibly good, but incredibly efficient. There was a special, Echoes of the Canyon, where Jacob Dylan does the interviews, these Wrecking Crew people. And they were talking to, I think, Roger McGuinn from the Byrds about how, Crosby, they wanted to record their own music. And they said, it took them 77 takes to get it right. Whereas the Wrecking Crew would go in one day and knock out the whole album. And it was an efficiency thing. It was a cost-effective thing. And they were great. As far as the Monkees were concerned, the Monkees had caught a lot of flack from their fan base because it had gotten out that they were not playing their own instruments or singing. And that's when they decided, we'll show you, we're going to play our own instruments, we're going to sing, don't tell us what to do. We stood up, we believe, you can't mess with us. So NBC said, all right, fine, you canceled. And that pretty much ended that. But the first song that the Monkees actually wrote and played their own instrument on was a song called The Girl That I Knew Somewhere. But basically they had it all. And it's embarrassing that a band that basically picked up where the Beatles left off, filled the void that the Beatles created, and filled it with #1 records. Daydream Believer, I'm a Believer, Valerie. Can't get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Dave Matthews can? You tell me.
Well, I don't think either one should be in.
Why wouldn't you put the Monkees in? Like, what don't you like about them?
Because then it opens up the door for bands like the Partridge Family, who's are they a band?
Why not? But again,
because
why not?
Because when you look at when you think about what rock and roll is, first of all, I think that's more
They
pop.
toured also.
Well, David Cassidy did.
David Cassidy
Well, because
toured.
do you really think Chris played the drums?
I know Danny
He wasn't even hitting. He wasn't even hitting it, but he played
No,
the drum.
but again, now did we put the Beach Boys in? Because Dennis Wilson didn't play on the albums.
Well,
Should we put him out? Should we take him out?
on Pet Sounds.
No, Dennis. Would they Wrecking Crew played on the Beach Boy albums?
Yeah. Well, on the early ones, they all played on the early albums.
As far as I know, they used the Wrecking Crew. So even if you want to go there, do you then take him out because he didn't play on Pet Sounds? I mean, most of the bands of that
No, because
era.
because here's the reason why, Steve. Because like when you look at like a band like Pink Floyd and you look at the final cut, it's billed as a Pink Floyd record, but it really is Roger Waters. I think Gilmour does one song on it with Nick Mason. Okay, and the keyboard player is out at the band at this time. Okay, when you look at Pet Sounds is really, a Brian Wilson vehicle while the band is on tour.
No, it's a Beach Boys album, and the Beach Boys toured it, and the Beach Boys did the singing. People care about who sings on the album. And again, if back then, I don't know how much it matters now, but back then it wasn't about who was actually playing on the album, but the sound of the song. And if you go back and you go through the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame roster and you take out all the bands that the Wrecking Crew played on, you're going to have a much smaller roster. So based on that, and again, what are we gearing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? What makes other than the fact that can you sell Rock and Roll Hall of Fame T-shirts to get people to go to Cleveland? It's a business. But other than that, what exactly are we judging the music on? Is it how many records sold, how many hits, what influence they had at the time? Well, at the time,
I think it's
the Partridge Family and the Monkees had #1 records.
I think it's clearly very subjective. Would you say?
No, I think it's cut and dry. If you're looking at roster,
are you a baseball fan, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay, baseball fan. Okay, so we just say like if you have there are certain benchmarks: 500 home runs, 3,000 hits. Okay, 300 wins. You hit those benchmarks, you're going into the Hall of Fame. We take the steroids out of it. In the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, is there anything like that? Is like, how many gold records, how many top 40 hits? Is there any type of benchmarks that a band has to hit for that?
Are there?
No.
Because there should be. How many #1 records? All right, so a band with multiple #1 records, multiple top-selling albums, shouldn't get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
All right,
they're not good enough. But a band that doesn't have those credentials can get in, and doesn't even play rock and roll can get in.
You're a baseball fan, right?
I'm a football fan. I'm not really much of a baseball fan, honestly.
Okay, so you're a football fan. Okay,
right.
Patrick Mahomes, his career ends tomorrow. Hall of Famer?
Yes, he won 3 Super Bowls.
Okay, right. So there are certain guys when you just say their names, you think right automatically Hall of Fame. I think I do the same thing when it comes to the Music Hall of Fame, to this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay. When I see here Jimmy Buffett and Dave Matthews, the right comes to mind is like I don't see it. I don't.
You see them through the prism of your opinion. You see Jimmy Buffett as a novelty act because you hear Margaritaville and Cheeseburger in Paradise and Parrot Heads. You see him as a novelty act, a niche. I see him as more than that because I've listened to more of his music. And again, I see what he's done for music, and I also like him as a person, and I can relate to his music. When I hear Come Monday, you can get emotional listening to that. I mean, and you hear the story about how Come Monday came to be. And I mean, that plays a lot to me. When you see Jimmy Buffett, you see the outpouring of love by Paul McCartney, by so many people. When Buffett went, the effect that his death had on so many people, and the effect that he had on so many people alive, and what he's done for music and the community and people, absolutely. I mean, without question, I put him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's only the beginning. I mean, I genuinely, the guy, he's done a lot for music, for society. He's a good guy. I would put him in. Now, again, if you want to, I would argue more so the acts that aren't rock and roll than to argue the acts who are playing rock and getting in. Because I don't know anymore. Because again, we're just losing every year. Is rock and roll's dying. We don't want to admit it. Rock and roll's going the way of
Sinatra. Say that all the time.
Yeah, I know, and it's proven to be right. Where are we getting these acts from? I hope it doesn't die. I don't want it to die, but I mean, it's really, and maybe I think it is what's dying is the way we look at rock and roll. And again, there's a generation, we're closer, but I came up through rock and roll when I was a kid in the 60s and a teenager in the 70s. Rock and roll was born out of rebellion. The whole idea that this is our music, not our parents' music, that, this belongs to us. Now you have classic rock and you got father and son listening to the same music. That
Well,
didn't
what
happen.
you just said, okay,
Mhm.
what you just said about rock and roll being rebellion music, that was the argument used for NWA to be put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
But again, I don't think what they're doing is rock and roll. So I would put them in the
And
rap
Public
hall of
Enemy.
fame, the hip hop hall of fame. Again, but again, I guess the only vehicle they've got, because there is no hip hop hall of fame and there is no rap hall of fame, is to put them in the rock and roll hall of fame. If there were music hall of fame, I'd put them there. Are they rock band? They'll tell you they're not a rock band. Although, you know what? Their music stirred emotions. Their music got people pissed. And when you look at the speech, when the thing is like with that, it's again, it was born out of rebellion. But going back to what I was saying, rock and roll was viewed as rebellion when it was coming up. Now, because we can rebel through social media, we can rebel anytime, anywhere, at any place. We don't need rock and roll to rebel. You know what I mean? We don't need to listen to it for rebellion. So now it's taken on a different role. It's more of a novelty act now. Rock and roll's not changing the world. Rock and roll changed the world then. I
Yeah,
don't think it'll ever change the world again.
well,
I think
listen,
we gotta resign yourselves to the fact that we're arguing about it being called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Everybody clearly knows it is not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame anymore. It is the Music Hall of Fame. They just cannot rebrand it by saying that because it would cause a shitstorm. So I think that just saying about rock and roll bands, it's a losing argument because they're going to put everybody and their mother into this Hall of Fame.
well,
But we're losing bands to put in.
You're right about that because Adam, our producer, just gave a list of who's eligible for the first time. I looked at that list. There's not one band in there that I think is deserving of the Rock and Roll Hall of
Let
Fame.
me open up the chat and let's
Yeah.
see.
And while you're doing that, there are three bands that right off my top of my head, four bands that I think absolutely need to go in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they haven't gone in. So that's exactly it, Adam. That's what I think maybe. Um, he wrote down Linkin Park, but I think Iron Maiden needs to go in. I think Bad Company should be in. I think Deep Purple
Absolutely.
has to go in. And I don't
Did Deep
understand
Purple
how
go in?
Jethro Tull is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I think Deep Purple went in.
They're not in.
Check it. I think they did. I think they went in last year.
I think he's right.
They,
I'm looking at the list now too, Jeffrey. And as much as I love so many of these bands, I think the only people that I can say who's eligible next year that I think should make the Hall of Fame would probably be Linkin Park. I think they can. I think there's a fighting chance of them getting into the Hall of Fame, and I think Pink.
I knew you were going to say that.
I think she has a great shot of getting into the Hall of Fame because I think she's crossed over a lot too. I think she's not just a pop act. I think she does attract a lot of rock and roll vibes to her too. But I mean, and I'll be brutally honest here. I'm looking at this list. I don't even know half the people.
Well, it's kind of, how is Fozzy on this list?
Because they're only going by people who by release dates. That's all they're going by.
They're running out of people.
They could be. I'll tell you who I was happy to see get in. And I think way deserving. And I'm curious to what you think about this, Steve. Peter Frampton.
Oh, absolutely. Frampton Comes Alive was one of the biggest selling albums of all time when it came out in 1976. I went to Frampton Yes and Gary Wright at JFK. I mean, he was the face of 68. I think he was a humble pie.
Yes, he was.
Since then, it's funny because the tracks didn't work, but when he put them out live, it clicked. And the follow-up...
Same thing with Kiss.
Yeah. And the follow-up was a song called I'm in You.
Yep.
And Sides Healed and Delivered was on that album as well. But then that's pretty much what we got. But the thing with Frampton, incredible guitarist.
Lion was a good comeback song.
Based on... Do you feel like we do? Show me the way. But I mean, based on that album, and what it did and the effect that it still has, and you still gets played on the radio, still gets played on the classic rock stations. It's still active. I would definitely put him in. You know,
You
what,
give
what
him,
are we looking for?
Nah,
Do we
I
know
don't,
who they are?
you don't think so, Sean?
I don't think so. I think it's 2 hits, and I think they're 2 monster hits. I mean, probably 2 of the biggest hits of the '70s, if you want to be honest. But I don't know. I don't see it as him going in. I really don't.
You
But do
don't
we
give him
go
any
for
credit for being a phenomenal guitar player
Listen,
and
there's a
touring with
million
David
phenomenal.
Bowie.
Look, Nuno Bettencourt from Extreme might be the greatest living guitar player to ever walk the face of the earth. But is Extreme going into the Hall of Fame? They're never going to go
No.
into the Hall of Fame. It doesn't make a difference.
But do
Great.
we go by hits now to get in? Like, how many hits did Dave Matthews have? Do we go by how many charted hits get you in?
How many charted hits did Dave Matthews have? How many charted hits
He
did
had a ton.
how many
Those
hits
3
did Jimmy
albums,
Buffett have?
Dave Matthews, those first 3 albums, I'm going to say he at least had 10 top 40 hits, if not top 20 hits. Those 3 records were monsters. After that, he trailed off, but it's not one
What he
album.
had Crash Into Me, Ants Dancing.
Ants Marching, Crash Into Me, Don't Drink the Water. There's a million. He really did have a ton of. You could not turn on 92.3 K-Rock in the late 90s and not hear a Dave Matthews song every hour.
The only problem with that is so few people turned it on that now it's WINS. I'm just saying.
That's because they were putting on Dave Matthews music.
You see, that's what it was, right?
Yeah, why isn't Styx
all the time?
Yeah, why isn't Styx in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
That's a very good question. That's a spin.
Yeah. Let's talk about the MC5. Do they belong in the Hall of Fame?
I don't listen to enough on it now.
I would say no.
Kick out the jams. I mean, I don't see that either.
Yeah, that's all I know. Kick out the jam.
But that's one of those bands that the art critics, like it's like the baseball writers, like they have to be so contrarian, like they know more than us.
They're cutting edge.
They're cutting edge. We're gonna put the MC5. You don't get it, and nobody else does, but we do.
Yeah,
Get out of here. There's no way they should be in.
I'll tell you one thing. I mean, one name that surprised me that took up for a long time to be nominated was Cher, and I think she 100% belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
And you know what? Cher started as a rocker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sonny and Cher, Sonny wrote for her, and she worked with Phil Spector, and she's on backup on a lot of records. Cher absolutely knows rock and roll.
She's had number 1s in like 5 different decades, if you think about it.
Yeah.
I hope she performs too. I really do. I really hope she actually performs. I don't think she will, but I hope she's one of the performers that night because I would love to hear
I think she will.
An updated version.
What will she do? What will she do?
Oh, easy. If I Can Turn Back Time, Believe.
You don't think she goes back and does songs like Gypsy Tramps and
Yeah,
Thieves?
she might do
that. She'll do I Got You, Babe. She'll go back, do some of the Sonny, do some of the old Sonny and Cher stuff. She could
Dark
do
Lady.
the Gypsy Tramps and Thieves, Dark Lady, but before that, Bang Bang, You Shot Me Down was her.
How about Jesse James? Just like Jesse James.
Oh my God, it's one of my favorite songs of hers. Such a brilliant song.
The Beat Goes On. Yeah. I mean, she's got look what we're talking about. And not only that, she could do Chapel of Love. I think she sang on that. She sang a lot of Spector stuff. So she was 16 years old. Sonny worked with Phil Spector, and Sonny kept trying to get her in, and Spector was annoyed by it. But Sonny started, writing for her, and they started doing it themselves. But that's going way back. But yeah, absolutely, she's rock and roll. She's one of those few that is anything she wants to be.
Yeah.
Who else got in this year, Sean?
Somebody that I believe absolutely does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame 100% is Ozzy Osbourne.
Are you see? Why doesn't he belong?
Are you kidding?
Oh yeah, I want to see Jeff have a stroke on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I
see you on the other side.
That's a long time coming.
He has to go in. Yeah. He had to go in. Unfortunately, I don't think he'll be able to perform.
No, I don't think he will.
I think someone should perform in his place and do.
I think Zach Wilde will probably perform in his.
That would be great.
Yeah, I think that's the only. I think that falls into what I was saying in the very beginning about people who are getting up there a little bit up in age, who they're trying to bring into the Hall of Fame before they go. It's the easiest thing in the world to put somebody in a year after they're gone. you know, but they should actually get the honor of doing this while they're alive instead of having their family
Agreed.
explore. I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, even with Dionne Warwick is going in too. I honestly don't know a lot of her stuff, but I know that she's been around probably 60 plus years at this point, and she's up
She's
in
Whitney
mid-80s.
Houston's cousin.
Yeah,
But
Whitney's
she
cousin.
she had Do You Know the Way to San Jose, Walk On By. Did a
Is it
lot of
her or is it Burt Bacharach?
in the beginning it was Burt Bacharach, but then came You, she did with the Spinners. She had a
Great
lot of hits
song.
in the 70s. She was on the Rockford Files, definitely for that.
The Psychic Network.
Right, the side, was she on that?
Oh
God,
wow,
yeah.
I forgot about that.
she was on
Yes.
that. Yeah, she has a lot. She had
She has big fake teeth now.
Does she?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
She had a lot of hits. I would.
She got a
And
mouthful
she's
of
a Jersey girl, so she doesn't pump her own
Her
gas.
mouth looks like a graveyard. Come on.
Getting
So
personal now, are we?
are we in agreement about Kool and the Gang? I know Steve didn't believe it, but I kind of think that Kool and the Gang goes into the Hall of Fame.
Well, based on the criteria of the Hall of Fame, yeah. But I mean, are they a rock band? No.
No, but Earth, Wind, and Fire is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Are they a rock band?
No. I don't know, maybe. Probably closer. But
I mean,
they're
but
more
also,
of a more
also
of
got to
a-
remember, Kool and the Gang, if you get past Celebration, there's been so many incarnations of Kool and the Gang, but they really hit their stride. They that put them over the top was when they had JT in the band. Okay.
Well, they had Jungle Love, right? They had
Well, that's before. That's
Ladies
before.
Night. They're a disco
That's
band.
yeah. That right, and then they had JT, and then they have like Misled, Tonight. They wind up having Celebrating. They have like their big hits.
Yeah, God bless them. I mean, I just don't think it's rock. I think they'll tell you it's not rock. But if it's just, if we're going music, absolutely, I put them in because look at how great they were. Look at how many chart hits they had. I'll tell you one thing. I went on the radio one night. I got a call from our marketing director saying we got 10 pair of Kool and the Gang tickets. Can you blow them out? And I'm like, come on, man, Kool and the Gang on my show. Are you out of your mind? It's like, go on. And I'm like, all right, I got these Kool and the Gang tickets. Phones went nuts. I was like, I stand corrected. And they just they wanted them. And again, great band. I just don't see them as rock.
Have you guys have you ever seen them?
Have I ever seen them live?
Yeah. I saw it. The weirdest concert was the co-headliners, Kool and the Gang, Joan Jett.
Wow.
At Radio City.
Well, yeah, they're doing that See Here Now festival this summer on the Sunday. It's Bruce's headlining, Gaslight Anthem's opening up, and then it's Kool and the Gang and Norah Jones as the direct support too.
Wow.
Which is very
I
strange.
think I've seen them on TJ Libisky's public Channel 13 things.
That's a real TV name. TJ Libisky.
You know what? That guy's brilliant. That guy, you ever see TJ Libisky?
No, I don't know who that is.
I'm going to explain it to you. TJ, you check this out now. TJ Libisky was a DJ in Bradley Beach in the clubs. And from there, he gets this idea and he sells public television where basically they put on a line act. They either could do it in Asbury Park or Pittsburgh. And they bring in all these one-hit wonders from the 50s, from the 60s, from the 70s, disco, rock, whatever. And they British invasion. And they all come out and they do their thing. And then they package it into a CD. And they play the snippets, they play of the show, and then they run a whole bunch of begging for you to subscribe.
Oh wait, this is stuff on Channel 13?
Yes.
I love those. Oh, I watch that all the time.
That's TJ. He saved public television.
I still do. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, that's TJ. That's what he does. And I put him on the air. I always kid him. I could tell what show you're doing by the way your hair is styled. He's got the Beatle cut for the 60s. He's got it slicked back for the 50s. Yeah.
When those bands perform, are they singing or are they playing with the track?
No, they're singing. I think they're singing. You can tell.
Some of them sound phenomenal still.
Well, that's which amazes me is when they do the doo-wop shows. He even did a thing where he brought in like Next Generation, and he had like young kids doing the doo-wop shows, and it worked out pretty good. I had a couple of the acts on. But like when you hear those guys who had the hits in the 50s who are still around, I mean, a lot of bands, a lot of the members, of course, have changed. but the ones that are still there and they can still bring it, and it's shocking. But yeah, and some of them don't make it. Like, it's weird. Like, when you have the incredible tight line band, and then the guy goes up trying to sing, then he can't sing anymore.
Yeah.
But he has his moment.
I took
Yeah.
my mom to a doo-wop show a million years ago. It was like at the Izod Center, and they have some good people and stuff. And then they bring out, here's some. I don't know if Jeff even knows who this person is, but you definitely will. Clarence Frogman Henry.
Yeah, of course. He had a song on the Lost Boys soundtrack.
All right, so
Ain't got a home.
he gets help onto stage, right? He has two people helping him onto stage. And
Right.
you can actually hear people going, oh my God, groaning and stuff like this. And he does his hit, I don't know why I love you, but I do. And in 30 seconds, he has every person in that Izod Center completely enamored and was singing along with him. And then as soon as he was done with the one song, he put his arms up. He had two guys walk him off the stage.
There you go. Yeah,
Those doo-wop shows are killer. I grew up watching those, and I still enjoy watching.
You know who that's like? That's like Frankie Valli now.
He's 90. He turned 90.
90 years old. Yeah, I saw that. Like, I had to text you that.
I got to ask you this, though. When you see Jersey Boys and the whole idea that Frankie said, I'll pay the debt, I'll work and pay the debt, and he's touring at 90. How much money did he actually owe the mob? That he is 90 years old and still
$1 billion.
How much did Tommy DeVito borrow that Frankie is still paying off?
Still on the road.
Really? Jesus. Is Tommy DeVito dead? I mean, he's gone now?
Yeah, he's been dead for a long time. I think he only went to
I don't think that long, but still, I mean, and Frankie's still paying the debt? My God.
I think the only one who is still alive is him and Bob Gaudio.
Yeah. Well, what a duo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was something else I was going to ask you. Oh, I forgot now. I'll think of it later. But go ahead. So yeah, but now Frankie Valli is still touring, and he's got a lot of help. But you're not going to see Frankie. You're not going to hear him hit every note. You're going, like we were talking about Bon Jovi, can't sing anymore. Does it matter? You're going for the show. You're going you're going to relive your youth, to feel good.
Have you seen the Bon Jovi documentary series that was just put out on Hulu, by the way?
You know what? I'm halfway into the first episode. When he talks about how
you're halfway there.
Huh?
You're halfway there.
I'm halfway there, right? When he talks about how he literally went on the radio stations himself, knocking on doors with his APP single. I was one of the doors he knocked on.
Really?
And it was 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I'm like half hungover. And the doorbell rings. Hi, I'm John Bon Jovi, and I got my hit "Runaway," and we won the WAPP talent contest. Come on in,
Steve. I don't even know. Hold on a second.
Director.
Before I forget, and you're the only person on the planet who may be able to get this. Okay, what was the first record that John Bon Jovi was heard on?
Oh, the Christmas Star Wars show.
Fucking guy! Holy shit! How the hell did you know that?
Because I know things. I have no life.
Nobody knows this. That is that is my go-to. That is my go-to. Like if I'm gonna get trivia. Okay, I'm gonna get him on this one. Okay, I'm putting all my chips in. There's no way he's getting this. And what did it take you? A second? Not even to just that is impressive, my friend.
I think everybody knows that Bon Jovi had a really bad reputation of being kind of like a miserable. He was always like kind of people just didn't like him, and he was a little bit of an asshole, a little arrogant and stuff. Once you get a little further into this documentary, Steve, you'll see the humility, which is something I never ever thought I would see from him at all.
Every experience I've ever had with him was good.
Yeah, I would think it too.
I've only had about 5 of them. I mean, it wasn't like I went to it. There was a show. It's a good story. 1995. They are opening the whatever that thing in South Jersey is this week. The Tweeter Center. You know what I'm talking about, in Camden.
Yeah.
So they were the grand opening, and Christy Whitman's in the audience, and Bon Jovi's going to open it, and Southside Johnny's the opening act. And I get a call from my record pals. Hey man, we're all going to go to the show. We're going to go backstage and hang. You want to come? Okay. So I go down there, and we're backstage, and he comes out. The band comes in, and we all got pictures, like 8x10s, and he signs the pictures for us. Then we had actual cameras back then, so they posed for pictures, and I got a picture with John. I got a picture with David, Brian. There was that, and then the stage. What they did was they had the stage decorated like a finished basement, and the back of the stage were two bars, like drinking bars, and each bar had taps where they would draw a beer, and it's about 100 degrees. It's a hot summer night in August, and we were brought out, myself and a whole bunch of like record and radio people, let out in droves to go on the stage, and we sat at the bar and we're drinking beer being drawn for us from a bartender while Bon Jovi is playing in front of us, and we're looking through him at the audience. It was amazing. And at one point he's like, and all this buzz is going, is Bruce going to show up? Is Bruce going to show up? He's like, well, I like to bring someone out that I started out with, one of my favorite Jersey icons. Southside Johnny. And they came out and did it. But it was an amazing. The other time, like I said, when he came to the door that day, he's a diehard Giant fan. So I called the music director, and the two of us are just sitting in the studio for like an hour waiting for the music to Mark the Dia to come down, who now manages the Black Rose. But he became president of Capitol Records. But there was a party, a record release party for 7800 Fahrenheit. And I went to that. And it was a typical Richie Zambora is upstairs telling us stories about Kiss, and John's down, and it's filled with radio and record people. But I tell you, he's sincerely one of the nicest guys that I'm, just as far as what he's done, not only for rock and roll, but for the community. I saw the thing on ABC.
Oh, his restaurant, the Soul
with
Kitchen?
Michael Strahan. No, I mean,
Yeah.
when Michael Strahan interviewed him. And from everything, like I've had David Bryan on the show, everything I've seen about him, like, and the people that know him, and everybody somehow knows Bon Jovi. Everybody's got a Bon Jovi story in New Jersey. But, for a guy to, the Soul Kitchen, building the houses with Habitat for Humanity, you could, like he said in the interview with Strahan, he goes, I'm not a rock and roller. Rock and roll was the vehicle I used to do what I wanted to do, or something like that. But I mean, I like him more now, having seen that. I can't wait to finish the documentary because I know I'll like him even more.
I'll tell you, you will. I've been a Bon Jovi fan since I could watch MTV. I've always been a big Bon Jovi fan. I've defended him a lot because a lot of people just throw them under the bus and they think it's garbage music, whatever. But you will see him in a new light when you finish this series, because it shows the humbleness, but it also shows where he acknowledges that he lost his voice, and it shows you what he went through and what he was going through to try and get his voice back, and how he admitted that, if he can't be the person that he wants to be, he kept saying one thing: I can't give 100% of 80%, which I thought was a very, very poignant thing when he would say that. That was, I mean, Richie's on there too. Richie has interviews on well, and I read an article that he flew out to see John for his birthday, and they did a screening, and he got up and walked out of the screening. That he didn't like. He didn't like the way that he was portrayed in the documentary.
Oh wow!
John stands behind it though.
He does stand behind it. And I heard it caused a little rift with his wife because he admits to some things in the documentary too. But it's a solid documentary. Even if you don't like them, I gotta tell you, it's well worth it. It's about 5 hours when it's broken up over the 4 parts. But I absolutely loved it. And their new song, by the way, I don't know if have you heard it.
I love Legendary. That's like the perfect song for us at our age.
What a amazing song, Jay. Are you a big fan of
course, I've heard it, but it's good. But it's like he's trying to be We Didn't Start the Fire.
No, not with that. That's more like
I know he references Van Morrison and all the songs that he listened to.
Have you heard the song?
Yes, of course I did.
Okay, well,
and we all, Brown Eyed Girl, we all sang along.
No. What he's saying is, when you listen to it, like We Didn't Start the Fire was like all this shit came before us. We had nothing to do with it. Don't blame us. Legendary is more like I am exactly where I want to be. I love that. I love living in Jersey. I love going out. I got friends that'll stand up for me, that'll fight for me. I go out on a Friday night and I sing Sweet Caroline with my friends. I got a brown-eyed girl at my side. I mean, it's basically everything I set out to do, I did. I mean, that's what I
Yeah.
took from it.
Yeah,
I
it was
didn't, I
a
didn't
good
take
song
it,
when
don't
Johnny
blame me.
Mellencamp did it, and it was called Cherry Bomb.
Oh, you know what? But
The
everybody's, but
same
again,
song.
but how many songs, all love songs are the same when you think about it. So he wrote the same type of song, but he's got his interpretation of the moment. Just like we all have our own
I
interpretations.
just don't like when it just stops and it just goes legendary. I don't know why it bothers
Because
me.
that'll make you stop. That'll make when you're listening to the music, it makes you take a pause. You sometimes pause. Comedy, right? Why do you put a pause in your act? You're trying to make an emphasis. And what he's saying is legendary. Like, this is really fucking good. Legendary.
Well,
Think of the word.
Jeff pauses because he's waiting for them to laugh, and then when he realizes the pause isn't long enough, he just goes into the next joke.
He forgot the line.
I've heard his hack shit for 4.5 years doing this. This doesn't phase me at all anymore. You got to come up with, God forbid you wrote something new.
You talking about Jovi?
No, he's talking about me.
No, I'm talking about him.
You.
No, Bon Jovi. No, he has his new album out.
We'll do the last two real quick. Mary J. Blige. No,
I love her.
Yes.
I love her too. I don't think she belongs. And then A Tribe Called Quest.
No way.
1000% belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
No way. Nobody knows who they are.
I don't know enough about them, honestly. I have no idea.
Take an opinion, Steve.
I would like to try a Tribe Called Johnny Quest with Bandit and Race Bannon and those guys. It was a
Yes, I would rather go see
They
that.
developed a completely different sound in the 90s for hip hop. They incorporated rap with jazz and funk and soul. They were
nice.
So did De La Soul.
So when the Hip Hop Hall of Fame opens, there they are.
There we go.
But there would be no De La Soul without Tribe Called Quest. That's
okay. So does Elvis get into the Hip Hop Hall of Fame?
No.
Okay. Yes, and then these bands, once it opens up, they got to kick him out.
That's a great topic. How many bands get kicked out of the Hall of Fame when the Hip Hop Hall of Fame?
Yeah, once it opens, okay, you got to spot it. You're taking up too much space here. We don't need you anymore.
Then it becomes we don't want to pay to expand this building, so we got to start kicking people out.
You said it yourself. You got things are going up. You got to cut costs. This is how we do it. And we're on a budget, right? It's Cleveland.
Ringo wasn't that good. We could just get by with Paul, John, and George. Seriously.
So who gets in next year?
I have no idea.
Mariah goes in next year, definitely.
I think Maiden has to get in next year.
I think you're right too. I think they'll push for them too.
If not, I'm done. I'll be done.
Monkeys.
We got a while to go.
It is, but it'll be so the induction is when? In June?
I think it's in June this year, yeah, and it's in Cleveland. I mean, otherwise, if it was in Brooklyn, I probably would have went to this one.
This would be a good one. Also, be interested to see if Frampton plays.
Why don't you go to Cleveland? Have you been to Cleveland? Cleveland's beautiful.
I'm in Cleveland probably like a couple times a year because I do shows out there.
Yeah, Cleveland's great. You got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame.
The Football Hall of Fame is in Canton.
It's only about an hour away.
It's exactly.
And they got
in fact, I go to Football Hall of Fame twice a year.
And they got a river that went on fire too. Don't forget about that.
What?
They had a river that went on fire.
There you go. We didn't start the fire.
Exactly.
Billy Joel.
Great song. Legendary should hope to have that type of success.
Well, let's see. Well, no, it won't because we don't chart music anymore. When Billy Joel did it, they did.
No, it is a good song. I'm just busting.
You know what really sucks?
I like it.
Like I was saying before, how many songs have come out this year by a legendary artist? The Beatles released a fucking song. Nobody plays it. Nobody cares. Like, why am I not hearing these songs all over the radio?
Why aren't they playing "Angry"? With is that the new Stone song? Or for
are they playing it? I don't even know.
They're playing it in concert.
I'm working on. I do music now on the weekends. I do a Saturday shift at 101.5 from 3 to 7, and we play legendary. But I'm thinking, like, when you drive around, you listen to other radio stations, these songs are not getting played. and it's a pretty wild roster of Springsteen has a song, right? Bon Jovi has a song, Billy Joel has a song, uh, the Beatles. Nobody's playing them. Like fuck. Like I said, what do you want them to do?
When you play music,
Yeah.
okay, right? Do you do talk ups?
Oh yeah.
I,
I do a lot of talk ups, and you know what's cool about it? It's kind of like going into a time machine because I stopped being a DJ in 1985. My last DJ shift was 1986, and save for a few, stints. But it's like I walked back in the studio and everything was exactly the way I found it. We're playing the same music, basically the same format. I have all the stories about the songs, about the band's personal experience and shit. So as opposed to the guy that just gets on and reads the liner, playing Jersey's biggest hits, I got a story to tell you, and it's so much fun. It's like walking back into your youth. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
I
having so
hated
much fun with it.
I hated the talk up because you remember when you were a kid, like you'd wait for a song. I used to wait for the song. Oh my God, this is embarrassing. Okay, I didn't have great taste as a little kid, but I loved the song Beach Baby.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that song?
First
Yes.
class,
And I
1974.
would I would wait, and then the DJ would have to talk over it before it got started. I was like, "Come on, you're ruining it."
Well, some of the intros were made to be talked over, and some of the intros weren't. You have to know how to respect the intro. You don't talk over Hotel California. You don't talk over Stairway to Heaven. But sometimes when you get like a light intro, you don't talk over Beach Baby when they hit the harmonies. But
No, but
like,
you
like 38
Carly
seconds.
Simon, you talk before the lead up to "You're So Vain."
Yeah, because but you also want to, what they call post it. One of the toughest things, though, I got to admit, doing it is that it's really hard when you're on the radio and you're talking up the record, not to take it to the vocal because it's in your blood. I mean, back when I was DJing, in my 20s, it was like, that was your testosterone. Look at him, I hit the post. Aha, I can hit the post. That was the way DJs measured themselves. And a lot of times, like, I should shut up now. What the hell? And I'll take it right up to the post. And then I do it. And I'm like, really, you should have done that.
No,
Just to show off.
once I get this special out of the way, my whole mission after this now is to book a show where I'll even have Jeff headline the show. I will. I don't even care. But we're gonna do music intros, and I'm gonna have Jeff walk out to Beach Baby.
There you go.
This is
You
my
in the back
mission
of
for the
old
rest of the
LA.
year. This is the mission for the rest of the year. I will find a show where we can do music intros. I will come out to Iron Maiden just to piss Jeff off,
Right.
and then he's gonna walk out to Beach Baby.
I remember I liked it, and there was this kid Gary Blinn, okay, and like his mother used to like pick us up from after school center, and I
Right.
remember Beach Baby came on, but like him and his mother wouldn't shut the fuck up, and like they were ruining Beach Baby for me because like you're waiting for it, like you're listening to like I think it may have even been like 77 a.m. when they were playing music.
74, the year it came out.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm sitting there like, waiting for it in the car and like they're ruining it. And like I think you'll know when the next time you're gonna hear the song on the radio.
Jeff,
Well,
you know, a little trivia with Steve. I have a trivia question for you to end the show. And you should get this answer. Iron Maiden, Run to the Hills. Who was it written about?
Jet Clampett.
No. I think I used to know this. Uh is it an actress?
Nope.
Then forget it. I'm not gonna get this.
It's written about Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue.
Wow.
Because an Iron Maiden was doing a tour, and Motley Crue's first tour overseas was opening for Iron Maiden. And the night before the tour starts, they had this gigantic dinner, and everybody gets messed up and banged up or whatever. And then, of course, they're doing their debauchery of drinking and drugs and stuff like that. Nikki's back in his room, and this woman knocks on the door, and she said, "I couldn't keep my eyes off you the whole night, and I want you so bad." And he pulls her into the room and does whatever he does to her the whole night. Next morning, they go down for the big meeting for the first tour, and both bands are in the room. And the same lady walks in and puts her arms around Bruce Dickinson and gives him a kiss. It was Bruce Dickinson's wife.
Get out.
No.
So Bruce Dickinson wrote "Run to the Hills" about Nikki Sixx. And when you think about it, "Run to the Hills, Run for Your Life," it is about him.
That's a great story. Let's end on one so Steve gets it right. Okay.
Oh, what's that?
Okay, who was You're So Vain written about?
Mick Jagger. Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty. That's it.
That was an easy one, Jeff.
I wanted to end on a positive note. Steve, where can people find you?
New Jersey 101.5, 7 to 11 at night. Usually Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But this week I'll be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday because somebody needed Monday night off. So I took it off to let them, they needed Thursday night off, so I filled in. And then I'm on WIP from 2 to 5 a.m. Friday night going into Saturday morning, because that's where they put the Giant Fan on an Eagle radio station. And then I may catch a rising star every Friday in the Princeton Hyatt Regency, catcharistingstar.com. I should get a website, you think?
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah. Welcome to the 90s, Steve.
Hey, really? I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I guess I'm on Instagram.
What's Twitter?
I'm on X.
Oh,
I'm on the Twitter. I'm on the Twitter.
The Twitter.
I think that's it. I think
Listen,
I'll come to the house. I mean, that's it.
Follow Steve. Listen to 101.5 FM. It's a great station. Always great topics they're talking
Wednesday,
about.
9.
Yeah, please hit it up. And if there's only one day to listen on Wednesdays.
Wednesday nights, right? At
Yeah.
Real Steve Trev is the Twitter handle.
Yeah, but please follow Steve, man. He's in this life. He's one of the real good guys.
I have to agree with that. I have
Sorry.
to. The way it is. Just the way it is. I mean, terrible taste in people who come on his show on Tuesday nights. Terrible taste in
Wednesday nights.
Wednesday. Sorry.
Terrible taste in eyeglasses.
Eyeglass. Oh God. That's fucking that Charles Nelson Riley. God damn, it was a great goddamn line though.
And then I think we end on that. Thank you, Steve, so much for coming on the show, man. Again, like Sean said, you're our favorite guest on here.
Thank you. So are you. You're the best.
Okay, I'll see you Wednesday night. Take care, everybody. Keep listening, subscribe, keep our numbers growing. We appreciate every one of you. Thank you. We'll catch you next time, everybody. Take care.